Axe likes this very much.
Welcome to
Coffee with Toffees.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Let's do this!
And welcome back to a new episode of Coffee with Toffees. Guys, this is our Friday show, so it is the tournament roundup. It is the what you need to know and the week in review, and I'm glad that you guys could join me for this one. As most of you probably know, that this show is geared a lot more towards understanding what's happening in the pro scene. It's your summary that you can take to the gym or on the road, so that you keep up with the vast amount of tournaments and things going on at this particular moment in time. And it sounds like... we are going to remind you that the show is brought to you by Namecheap.com. Namecheap, they are a domain registrar that cares about internet freedom and esports, so go check them out and register a new domain at Namecheap today. So, now before we jump into the actual news portion and talk about what's been going on in Dota, we do have to talk a little bit more about what's happening with the show moving forward. As some of you know that we have moved to monetization, so fans of the show have been around for a long time. We started grassroots, we did all the funding through Patreon, and we still do that. All your Patreon goes into making the show better, helping to keep me working, as well as putting the time and effort in needed to do this thing. So we really appreciate that. What I do want to say, however, is that it is becoming larger and larger. We've improved the overlays. We've made the show look a lot better. Hopefully it sounds better to those of you who listen on the podcast. And that is taking a little extra cash. This is also the last week that Namecheap, our current sponsor, is going to be working with the show. So as of now, we are returning to fully crowdfunded. So if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Toffees and choose to support it. Every little bit counts, whether it's $1, $5, or just words of encouragement. It all means a lot. I know that we've got a lot of new viewers coming in. Hopefully that expands. And if you're interested in picking up a new sponsor spot, taking over where Namecheap left off, get in touch with me at 5midasgaming@gmail.com. Not only can you sponsor the show, but we also are going to be selling 15 to 20 second commercial spots on the show moving forward that we can use to transition between segments. We're also working with some new ideas like shorter show highlight reels and things of that nature to really help bring in some additional viewers. So if you're interested, get in touch with us. That said, let's talk about the pro news and move into a little more of what's happening in Dota right now. The first piece that you need to know is that Flipside has purchased Ling Hao. Now, Ling Hao was a pretty standard roster. They were doing a lot of competing on their own. Mania, Unicorn, Bland, Baby Knight, Av, and Rise were their primary players. So that is the team that was Ling Hao. Now they have been purchased by Flipside, or sponsored, I guess I should say. So they'll be using the Flipside tag logo going forward. Flipside, as a lot of you know, did sponsor a North American team not long ago in the form of LVT, but neither found it beneficial, and they ended up backing away from the Dota2 scene completely. I'm not surprised that they come back right before TI. I assume that we'll see a couple of new sponsors, just like we did last year, enter the game throughout this time period. So get comfortable with that. It is exactly what we're going to see a lot more of, and I'll keep you abreast of that as it happens. Now, there's a lot of big stuff that happened this week, especially between the different shifts. A big one that is Mag is a player that a lot of us are familiar with, Andrew Chepenko, and he was dropped from Asus Polar. So he was removed. The official statement coming out of Asus Polar are, unfortunately today, the way Asus Polar and Andrew diverged. It was not an easy decision for the team, but the change in the situation in which turned out to be a team are essential. We will take the place. Who will take the place of Mags is currently unknown. We may find a fifth player, but it will take some time. So the organization thanks Andrew for his game and wishes him success in his future career. Once again, that sounded a little bit garbled because it was translated from, I believe it was Russian, though I can't say that for sure, as I'm not really familiar with my Eastern languages, but that was translated, so it was a bit choppy in some places. But Mag no longer with Asus Polar. Where will he settle? I don't know. Rumors out there, but we're not going to substantiate any of that just yet. Moving on to the next one. This is an interesting one. Jerx leaves Team Tinker. So he left Team Tinker, but left them for a team that I am curious about. Tinker maybe he was pushed out, maybe he wasn't, but the other day he's joining Hot 6 MVP's team, and his lineup is going to be Forev, MP, Baton, Heen, and jerx. So this is a big move for him, where he's going to be moving to a team that I think is a little more stable than Team Tinker has been, but maybe not as well represented. The curious part is MVP Hot 6, I think, can do really well in the SEA scene. So there is a good chance that they will, if they stay together, get the nod for the TI qualifiers at the very least, but we'll also be able to make some money in the ever-growing SEA scene. So jerx leaves and heads over to MVP Hot 6. Next up on the list, this was an interesting one for me. patsoul leaves Team Tinker for Void Boys. There wasn't a lot said about it initially when it happened, just that he did depart. And then he went ahead and published this statement in response to someone on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on Reddit, and his statement reads this: I did not get kicked from Team Tinker, as some are saying. I could not scrim as much as they wanted due to my scholarship requirements for my degree, so it is not because he was studying because he's a bookworm, but because he had scholarship requirements. This was also the reason I missed the first game of the Summit 3 qualifiers against Braxton Demons team today, as I was busy tutoring Calculus 2. As for my situation with Team Tinker, I made the decision to play with my friends in Void Boys, because even if they might not be as individually skilled as Team Tinker's members, here's the interesting sentence: they trust me fully and actually enjoy my company. I think that's a major part of team success. When I face Team Tinker, I'm very confident we will win if we play to our potential. So, what this means is patsoul said he was not kicked. He chose to leave Team Tinker, and he chose to leave to play with a team that he believes is almost as talented, but works better together as a group. And that's exactly what's happening. The most interesting sentence, I think, was enjoy my company. So it sounds like Tinker and patsoul had a little bit of a conflict of personality, and as a result, it just did not work out. So he goes on his departure. Here's an interesting one. So a lot of us know that DK Phobos has officially left Virtus Pro to join up with Na'Vi. Is that a good get for Na'Vi? Yes, it is. I think it's a great choice. That said, is Virtus Pro happy about it? They are not, because a couple of things happened in response to this. A, Virtus Pro was dropped. So the team that is the namesake of the sponsor is no longer with the team. They completely dropped Virtus Pro from their roster, and a statement came out from the CEO. He said, before starting Polar, I specifically spoke to Phobos, saying that the transfer to Na'Vi would be impossible. We agreed that this verbally, said VP's chief executive officer. One thing I said to Phobos, I repeat for the benefit of everyone else, whoever stands by what they have said is a winner. Everyone else is a dreamer. So Virtus Pro loses DK Phobos, and it sounds like it's a lot of trouble for them as they move forward here. So VP in dire straits, but they've got some good stuff, some people coming in the right place, and I think that the team that they do have remaining is looking very good and will continue to bounce back. Rolling on to the next one here. This is an interesting one. Sexy Bambo has left Burden United. He made a come with me, posted and said, no Bambo for Burden United boys. Sock Shaka is going to step in for now, and that's pretty much the end of it. So come with me. It made a follow-up response that I don't know if he's out permanently, but he's not playing with us anymore. So it sounds like maybe a conflict of interest, personality clash of some sort, but come with me made it very clear that he will not be playing with Burden United, which is a shame. Here's the big one. This is the one I think everybody was really excited about. We saw it coming during DAC. We didn't know where he'd go. I hoped it would be Team Tinker, because honestly, Team Tinker is a team that can really use him. Black, one of the premier, if not the best farmer in the game, one position, point for point, if you ask Nahaz, is Dominic Rietmeyer. Black Dota is transferring to Team Tinker. He made it official on his Twitter on March 10th. Many rumors have been going around. I'm indeed joining Quofa in Team Tinker. Let's try our best to make this work. And they've been playing a lot better since he joined. I think it's the right choice for him for now. Moving to Tinker, working for a larger agency. I really am trying and hoping he'll come on the show at some point so we can talk to him about the transition from Eastern Dota back to Western and sort of what it feels like to have such a huge change and change the system. But Black with Team Tinker now, I honest to God think that this makes Tinker a player as we talk about the TI mix. The fact of the matter is he is good, and he's been training in that Eastern Rice style for a very long time. By that I mean he farms aggressively. He's a very good farmer, and he tends to be able to play by himself with good four-man teams that can sort of make space for him, and I think Tinker will be able to do that. So look for Tinker to really start to rise up, I think, if they stick together, if they play well, and if Black meshes well, personality-wise, with the team. All right, now this takes us over. It's a good transition point to the Chinese shuffle. There's a lot going on over there. I spent the morning generally hitting translate on Weebos to figure out what's going on. And so far, here is what we have. June has joined Newbie. So Rabbit will go to the first position. Bananas is now the captain. And Newbie is going to be anchored again. Or I like saying because I think June's going to be a really good audition. So June goes to Newbie. It makes them very, very strong as we continue to roll down the list of changes. How officially joins VG Gaming. So to replace with the departure of Black, there are spots open now, obviously, on VG. How joins up, and he should be taking over that position. The lineup's going to be How, Super, Ice, Fenrir, and FY. This is going to be a team to be reckoned with. I think they're going to do really well going forward here. So if VG was one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the world, Black's departure hurts them in terms of numbers. If you look at the basic, from what I understand, talking to my stat people, Nahaz and Gorgon, if I'm wrong, you can flame me on Twitter. Basic numbers, How is a downgrade. However, a difference in language, cultural proclivity, understanding each other as a team, I think this is going to be a big pickup for VG, and they are clearly going to be playing on the level of Secret and EG going forward in the next 6 months. So I'm excited to see how they play. I keep saying how. I think it's going to be a great game for them. All right, here's another interesting one. Zowie and Maybe have been announced to be returned to LGD. Initially, Zowie was going to be allowed to go for free. However, after some of the other shifts, most particularly Maybe returning to LGD, that discussion changed a little bit. And now I should preface, the reason we're getting all of this right now is from what I understand, ACE, the management body, and Perfect World for Chinese Dota said that trades have to be done by the 15th, which, by the way, trading windows, amazing. Why can't we bring this to Western Dota? That said, it sounds like the trades have to be done by the 15th, and LGD has valued Zowie at $160,000 US dollars. That's US dollars. So, long story short, Newbie sort of started to backtrack a little bit on the trade for Zowie after Maybe announced his return to LGD, and the owner of LGD put out a press statement and contacted Newbie and said, I am willing to give you $160,000 for this player's contract. So Zowie, it gets a massive price tag assigned to him for a Dota player, and whether or not the final goes through is really an issue of will that contract be finalized. And last thing for the shift in the Chinese Dota scene is Burning and Faith are both headed to Invictus after June left for Newbie. So big shift up in Invictus. This should work well with Chuan. I know that he has got on the record and said that supports are their biggest problem in the last couple of weeks. And they're trying to shore up the team to get strong for TI and upcoming tournaments, I-League, etc. And I think that this change will be really strong for them. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be pretty interesting. We'll follow the Chinese scene. Like I said, one of my woeful weaknesses is that I don't follow Chinese Dota as closely as I could, largely because of the time zoning difference. But I am trying to stay on top of this for you guys as best as I possibly can. But that's it for pro news. Rolling over to the tournament news, a couple of things. First, MSI Dragon Battle is that big open tournament. Invited teams are London Conspiracy, Hellraisers, Balkan Bears, and Let's Do It. The reason this is relevant is because it's an open tournament that you could actually win or have a chance to win. It's not like you're getting a chance to play EG and lose. You're getting a chance to go up against teams that you can beat. They had their open registration. From what I understand, 500 teams signed up, and they are in the process of playing out the MSI Dragon Battle as we speak. The next tournament that's going on. Oh, here's another good piece of tournament news. MSI Dragon Battle. I'm sorry, I just said that. The I-League has been announced. So I-League was announced, and they said we're bringing a prize pool of $300,000 this year. Granted, that's 2 Zowies, so you win that, you get to buy them twice. More importantly, that is a lot of money. That's a good-sized tournament. Immediately after they announce it, bam! EG, Secret, and Ninjas in Pajamas declined the invites to Season 3. Ninjas in Pajamas manager came on the board and said that it was a scheduling problem for him, that he was unwilling to go. And Cyborg Matt went as far as to say it's a poor schedule, unclear rules regarding how they will actually pay. A poor track record with Western teams, to name a few. So Long story short, Matt, who is the manager for Team Secret, went on the record on Twitter saying we're not going to I-League, and we're not going because historically they have not been a strong tournament. And this does speak value for what we're seeing in Dota right now, which is a lot of big tournaments, a lot of big prize pools. The only way we see undersaturation or less saturation happen is if teams say, this isn't a quality tournament, I simply will not go. And that's what we're seeing out of the Western leaders right now. So I'm curious to see what other teams do sign in for I-League and which ones choose not to get involved. Last peak of tournament news that hurts my heart a little bit is that Team EHUG is withdrawn from Major AllStars. Major AllStars was a big tournament, and Team EHUG got the chance to travel to it. Sorry, won that opportunity, but are having to back out. They published a Twitter statement saying, to clear the air, we backed out of Major AllStars due to a mix of performance issues and communication issues with the organizers. So, they're not saying it was completely the organizers, it was partly them, but at the end of the day, for some reason, communication broke down between Major AllStars and EHUG, and Team EHUG, a team who has a storied past, but is right now made up of some hustlers. This is Infinity Stack. These guys work their butts off. They deserve a chance to go to a big tournament. They earned it, but because of organizational issues, they are not going. Rumor is NIP may step in to fill the role, but my heart does go out to these guys. An NA team that has been busting their backsides to make a major tournament, had a chance to do it with this, and then were unable to attend. And that is just incredibly frustrating. Alright, so that takes us through the news portion of the show. We're going to roll over to the tournament roundup. By the way, if you were interested, guys, those commercials we talked about a little bit earlier, the 15 to 20 second commercial runs, are going to happen between those segments. So between things like the tournament roundup and the tournament news, we're going to do cuts. We're going to start doing that in interview shows as well before the interviews actually come on. So if you want to buy some advertising space, if you know somebody who might promote a tournament, or just wish someone a happy birthday, feel free to email me at 5midasgaming@gmail.com. Now, roundup for the week. There's a couple of major tournaments to talk about. Summit 3 underway, and most everything is solidified. European qualifiers. Let's talk about that real quick. Where our standings are going into the qualifiers. The big show is going to be Secret, Anchors, Na'Vi, Alliance, Empire, Aces Polar, and Ninjas in Pajamas, as well as Cloud9. Anchors and Pajamas are the two that qualified out of the pre-qualifiers. American qualifiers also wrapped up. Void Boys and Boreal Esports come out the back end and are going to be going to the big show. I will say big shout out to Boreal Esports, someone who no one had heard of before. These are not a new team. This is not a superstar team that was assembled for TI. These guys have been busting butt in tournaments like SIVO Main for a while now and have put up some really great numbers, worked really hard, and I'm glad to see them get through a very tough lineup to get into this tournament. So the final groupings for the American Open qualifiers will be Not Today, Void Boys, Leviathan, Wheel, EHUG, Complexity, and unfortunately, Boreal Esports versus Evil Genius right out of the gate. So Boreal with a very tall order on their very first match. SEA qualifiers have also wrapped up. The Hot 6 MVP and Arcanus are coming out of qualifiers, so jerx immediately gets to go into the Summit play. And we're already seeing that Summit qualifier run through, and it looks like Rave were the ones who beat out MVP Phoenix to take that position. So Hot 6 got in, got to play quite a bit through the losers bracket. Ended up losing to MVP Phoenix, their sister company, for third place, and excuse me, MVP Phoenix lost to Rave in a really good 3-2. So that is the wrap up of the SEA qualifiers. Interesting though, let's talk, I feel bad for him too, Transit. Let's talk about the Chinese qualifiers, because you go there and take a look at the bracket, it's empty. Everything is to TBD. Now, I have been trying to reach out to the guys over at BTS and find out what's going on with the Chinese side of things. Definitely it's falling behind. Nothing's happening. I assume that we'll hear more after tomorrow when the deadline put in place by the ACEE for transitions of teams stops. But as of right now, we have no idea what's happening with the Chinese brackets. All right, roll over to the next one. This is the MLG Pro League, guys. Oh, man, my nose just got really itchy. Sorry. And what's standing right now in the Pro League is for Europe, Group 1, Balkan Bears looking pretty gosh darn good. Up on top with Hellraisers. Tanker 8-6, though, as they have been gaining steadily since their last roster change. Though, will they be able to close the gap? They don't have any more games, so they will definitely go to the decider, not to the finals. But Balkan Bears will likely get that advance. Actually, I believe Balkan Bears officially got the advance after games last night, so kudos to them. and a really tight fight between them, Hellraisers, and Team Tinker. Group 2, Ninjas in Pajamas, and looks good as they move forward. Team Empire is going to the qualifiers, and Moscow 5 and Meepwned still trying to figure out who gets... Well, I'm sorry, Meepwned disbanded, so Moscow 5 going to be the last person going to that qualifier position. Pro League America, it's going to be Evil Geniuses advancing. Not a big surprise there. Not today, however. Looks like they take the 2 spot, which was surprising as Summoner's Rift. Remember the Summoner's Rift debacle? We talked a little bit about it. The fact that Summoner's Rift has Arteezy and Theban on the roster, as well as Kuroki standing in for them, is in the 3rd position. So they'll be going to the stay in Division 1, but not advancing to the next round. So kudos to EG and Not Today for making that advance. Pro League Asia is going to be MVP Phoenix, making their big advance out of that grouping, and a huge 4-way wrap out to stay in Division 1. 10-6, 10-6, 10-6 from Signature, Invasion, and Rave. So lots of fight going on in the SEA scene at the particular moment. Next one up is Dota Pit. We do a quick update on how Dota Pit is running right now. And it looks like we're still working group stages. Group A, Cloud9 on top, Ninjas in Pajamas in 2nd place. But look for Aces Polar and Team Tinker to be catching up. Also, keep in mind, Evil Geniuses has still only played 1 game where they did go 1-1 against Cloud9. So they've got a little bit of work cut out for them to catch up, but it is EG. And everyone else on that list besides Cloud9 should be relatively easy for them to push over and take that top qualifier position. Team Secret in Group B, number 1 at 8-2. Pretty much killing it with 3 2-0s. They've got 1 more to play, I believe. And then we'll almost certainly guarantee that advanced position. Empire doing very, very well. Vega Squadron, kind of the disappointment in that particular group. Now, the last one we're going to talk about, and I'm going to talk a little about this one because it's confusing, is the new Starladder. Now, Starladder, if they weren't greedy before, it feels like they're greedy now because they are doing a multiple stage prior to the opener. It's actually a lot like BTS was doing. It's stage 1 plus then stage 2, then the land. So, if, for instance, in Europe, there's Stage 1 is 4 groups. The top 2 in each group advance to a 2-group schedule where they all play each other. And then the top 2 from each group advance to the LAN final. What this means is a lot of Dota and a lot of coverage and a lot of BTS coverage and a lot of watching streams and a lot of advertising revenue. It also means a lot of fatigue for the players who are trying to get those positions. That said, it's underway, and right now in Group A, Team Secret and London Conspiracy are up on top. Secret should have no problem winning that one overall. Group B is Empire, Goomba, basically, and Na'Vi. Empire on top, though I expect that Na'Vi should be climbing soon, as I think that they're stronger a little bit, especially after Basically Unknown did lose Sexy Bambo. Group C is Scary Face, Vega, Hellraisers, and Cloud9. None of those have played yet. I assume Cloud9 and Hellraisers, the shoo-ins from that group. Group D is Power Rangers, Ninjas in Pajamas, Alliance, and Aces Polar. As much as it hurts my heart to say that Alliance probably won't make it, I'm putting my money on Aces Polar and Ninjas in Pajamas out of those 2 groups. Now, if we roll over to the America qualifiers, we'll run through so you just know who's playing who in terms of group stages. Group A is Void Boys, Will Wreck, Pain Gaming, and Team eHug. Group B is Tinker, Complexity, Not Today, and Leviathan. And it looks like Void doing very well for themselves. Will Wreck as well. On the other side, Team Tinker doing great with the addition of Black. Complexity Gaming holding in there. And Leviathan having a very slow start in this particular tournament. Starladder China is going to be Group A, eHome, Tongfu, Invictus Gaming, and LGD. Group B is going to be HGT, that's Hyper Glory Team. Team DK, Newbie, and VG Gaming. VG and I assume Newbie should be able to dominate that grouping. On the other side, it's a lot more open. I look for Invictus and maybe LGD to rise to the top of that particular pool. Finally, last up is SEA. How's it going, Ortizi? It's going to be 5 Eva, Invasion, Mineski, and eHome in one group. And the second group is going to be Notit, Aces, Raze, and MVP Phoenix. So honestly, Group B, MVP Phoenix, and Rave should take it without a problem. Group A, a little more open, but Invasion Esports and maybe eHome, who's recently moved to Malaysia, should also be taking that position. So that's the wrap-up for Starladder. The format's interesting. You'll notice EG is not listed anywhere on there, probably because of the format as well as some past issues they've had with them. But that is the way that the cookie crumbles, guys. That's it. That's our wrap-up. That's the Week in Dota, your tournament roundup That said, to touch a couple of things here, guys. A lot of you probably read the Reddit thread that was released yesterday. I don't know who wrote it, but I appreciate it. The feedback was great. We're working on some new projects and some new stuff. A reminder, Namecheap has decided to pull their monthly sponsorship. They want to go on a per episode sort of when you have a guest will come on sponsorship, and I'm sure we'll still take the money, but that means that we're back to exclusively crowdfunding at this point. So if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/Toffees. Every little bit counts. Most of it goes back to the show. Some of it goes to diapers. It is part of the game. So check that out. Guys, my name is Toffees. You can follow me at Toffees_Dota2 over on Twitter. That is the easiest way to support the show, is to go ahead and give out follows, because that's a big part of marketing and things of that nature. It's been great having you guys spend the morning with me. I really appreciate you tuning in when there's so much else going on. If you're listening on the podcast, please take the time after the show ends to write a quick review, or at least rate us on the podcast, because we don't have enough ratings to even be featured on the front page. And I think that's something that would be very, very helpful as well. So go ahead and hit that rating button, hit the like button. If you don't have already followed the YouTube channel, if you haven't followed the SoundCloud, what are you doing? You're missing out. Get on there and do that, guys. But we really appreciate having you. Have a great afternoon. Play some more Dota. And as always, guys, Toffees out.